Come on. Tell me the new look ain't fancy, people. Welcome to the show. I'm Tony Katz. Show's called Tony Katz Today. Is what we got going on. Producer Landon, you approve? All right. Now, if I get rid of the side right there, if I get rid of the side thing right here, look at this. Check this out. Boom. Fancy brick. Let's do a radio show, guys. President Trump making it clear he is not happy with the Russians at all or in any way.
One of the reasons that you're here today is to hear that we are very unhappy, I am, with Russia. But we'll discuss that maybe a different day. But we're very, very unhappy with them, and we're going to be doing very severe tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. Tariffs at about 100%. You'd call them secondary tariffs. You know what that means. But today we're going to talk about something else. And as you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine. And would like to see it end. It wasn't my war. It was Biden's war. It's not my war. I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. It can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it.
Well, then, this is on. Tony Katz Today. What is going on, everybody? 833-GOT-TONY, 833-468-8669. The live stream is going. You should be a part of it. This was the White House conversation or the Oval Office conversation with President Trump and Mark Rutte, who is the Secretary General of NATO, who has figured out very, very quickly that Donald Trump is his best friend. Oh, absolutely. Donald Trump is my very, very best friend in the whole wide world. As a matter of fact, not only are we going to be sending weapons to Ukraine, that's right, the United States is going to provide weapons, even offensive weapons, to Ukraine. NATO's going to pay for them. And you say to me, I'm sorry, they're going to do what? NATO is going to pay for them.
This is really big. You called me on Thursday that you have taken a decision. And the decision is that you want Ukraine what it needs to have to maintain, to be able to defend itself against Russia, but you do want the Europeans to pay for it, which is totally logical. And this is building on the tremendous success of the NATO summit. The 5%, but also the decision to keep Ukraine strong and the decision to increase our defense industrial production. So based on that, that was Europe stepping up. This is again Europeans stepping up. So I've been in contact with many countries. I can tell you that at this moment, Germany massively, but also Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Canada, they all want to be part of this. And this is only the first wave. There will be more.
They all want to be part about buying weapons from the United States that may end up with Ukraine. What's got to assume what's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe they'll keep something for themselves. Neither here nor there. Are we in the business of helping Ukraine, or did we just create a jobs program? But when you are Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, you're like, I don't even care. NATO needs to be strong. We learned this from Joe Biden. Joe Biden taught the NATO nations that you cannot depend on the United States. What Trump was trying to do with them spending more of their GDP towards NATO, 2% of GDP going towards NATO and having a buttressed forces, creating a buttress of forces against Russian aggression or Russian issues. That became almost a sacrosanct positioning when you consider that they were able to see how Biden worked, Biden operated, how weak Biden was, and how much movement took place from Vladimir Putin. And they said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna need an army. We're gonna need some people. We're gonna need some weapons. Who makes good weapons? Who makes good weapons?" And China said, "Hi," and NATO said, "Ha ha ha! Hey, America." That's kind of how it went down. And so now here they are. Here they are. Sitting together, breaking bread and saying, "You know what? We need more. We need to figure out more." Now, it was a really interesting conversation. The conversation took a couple of twists and turns on two pretty important subjects. There was Trump on Ukraine, and then there was Trump answering questions about the auto pen. Oh, the auto pen story. I'll get to that. But first, from this joint press conference, and by the way, Trump is supposed to be doing something live right now, isn't he? Like he had a whole second event scheduled. It was not a faith conference. It was his faith office, which I didn't know there was a faith office. But no, I don't. It's not happening yet. When it does, I'll bring it to you. Check this out. This was President Trump talking about Ukraine with answering questions from the press with the Secretary General Mark Rutte.
You've praised European countries today as standing up for Ukraine, as being strong. Will you allow them to continue to negotiate tariffs lower than 30% before August 1st, or is the deal set at this point?
What does that mean? You mean you're talking about the tariffs?
On trade, on tariffs.
You're back on tariffs. You're on a more friendly tariff, right? A little bit more friendly tariff.
Perhaps.
No, we're going to be talking to people. We have, I watched the show this morning. They were talking about, well, when's he going to make the deal? The deals are already made. The letters are the deals. The deals are made. There are no deals to make. They would like to do a different kind of a deal, and we're always open to talk. We are open to talk, including to Europe. In fact, they're coming over. They'd like to talk.
Mr. President, is there any concern about the U.S. stockpiles? There was a pause in delivery of weaponry to Ukraine in order to evaluate, apparently, the U.S. stockpiles. What came out of that?
Evaluation. I mean, this was a very big, what we're talking about today is a very, very big day. And what Pete was doing, and me too, I knew what Pete was doing, was evaluation, because we knew this was going to happen. And now we actually announced it. They voted on it. It's all been done. So obviously that has a big impact on, when you say pause, obviously you're not going to be doing things if you don't know what's going to happen here. But we were pretty sure this was going to happen, so we did a little bit of a pause. But this is a very big event today. This is something very big.
If Putin escalates further, how far are you willing to go in response?
In what?
How far are you willing to go if Putin were to escalate, send more bombs in the coming days?
Don't ask me a question like that. How far? I want to get the war settled.
First, President Trump's never going to answer a question that involves strategy. That's just, I wouldn't do that either. But I do think it's important to note that the movement of weapons to Ukraine does not change, most probably, the calculus regarding for Vladimir Putin regarding his incursion into Ukraine. Russia is the aggressor. This is now the well understood conversation. This wasn't something that MAGAville accepted going into the election. It is something that is clear now to everyone, even if there are members of MAGAville who won't accept it. And I'm certain that there are people within that world who are upset that this is happening because we were promised no more forever wars. We were promised. And yet here we are. Look at what we're seeing. Look at what we're witnessing. Look at what we're dealing with. My God, this is everything I didn't want. One of the things that we said on this show together, one of the things that we discussed was the very idea that it is obvious, very, very obvious to all rational people that Trump first does have an emotional side to him, and he does not appreciate how he's been treated by Vladimir Putin at all. Trump clearly, war is beyond his comprehension. Why don't you just trade and enjoy life? What are you doing? Why are you being weird? That is truly how he moves. But he has never shown, he has shown levels of restraint. He has never shown a true willingness to walk away when the moment is necessary. And the moment is necessary in Ukraine, as we have discussed it here, because Russia is an expansionist power. Tucker Carlson was wrong, like he's been wrong about a lot of things lately. And holy crap, that Turning Point USA speech, man, I don't know Charlie Kirk. And I admit I'm not a fan of his debate style at all, right? But impressed by what has been created, I felt bad for him. Because you invite Tucker because you invite Tucker, and you don't know how it's all going to go down. And certainly he's a crowd favorite. But dear Lord, Jeffrey Epstein is a Mossad agent? All right, man. If that's the kooky you want to bring, it's not the kooky I want at my event. Not at all. Not for a moment. I will get to that story. But the reality is that Trump knows that if Ukraine falls, NATO nations are next. That means he has to now be involved because of Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. Russia has always been an expansionist power. It's not deniable. And every conversation of, well, Ukraine's terrible might be true, but never change the calculus. The calculus is Russia's the aggressor. Russia is in many ways already the vassal state of China. What's your plan? That's the only thing that matters. The one thing I've always appreciated about Trump, and you learned this early on, there are desires and then there is realism. And Trump is both. He has desires. The desires is better trade deals. How does he do that? Through these tariffs. I think these tariffs are nutty. But they have managed to, so far, not increase inflation, which might be luck or there might be something else at play. But the realism is you got to create a trade deal, and sometimes you need more time, and I think that's why he's getting more time now for these deals. Russia must be dealt with because Russia is a problem. It doesn't matter what you think about Ukraine. And I think that's why he moved NATO to do 5%. NATO seems very okay with 5%. This seems to be happening, and how NATO's going to be paying for this.
We make the best equipment, the best missiles, the best of everything. The European nations know that. And we've made a deal today, and I'm going to have Mark speak about it, but we've made a deal today where we are going to be sending them weapons and they're going to be paying for them. The United States will not be having any payment made. We're not buying it, but we will manufacture it and they're going to be paying for it.
And I do think that is interesting. I'm not opposed to them paying for it. I do wonder whether or not this goes to their contribution to NATO. Like if they didn't contribute to NATO, but they bought weapons from us as part of another package and sent 32 missiles over there and kept 17 for themselves, whatever the case may be. Is that the same? Just curious how it all comes together and how it all works. But MAGAville's got to ask the question, does this mean we're now more involved in the war with Russia and Ukraine? And the answer is, I don't see how it doesn't. I don't see how it doesn't. Do I want troops on the ground? No. We have a mineral rights deal. Do I think it's coming? I do think it's coming. Something is coming. And you know who alluded to this? Senator Lindsey Graham. I have got that story coming up as well. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. That's funny. First of all, you are all fantastic. Producer Landon was talking about, hey, like the studio, which I think I needs a little bit of a camera turn there, but neither here nor there. Someone noticed here. I'll take this down. Who was that? You, Freddie? Um, someone noticed. There it is. That this is a Bose 1901 speaker. It is. It is. It is a classic. I'd have to rewire it to work. For sure, but that is exactly what that is. And oh, you can actually see some a little bit blue there from another banner. I gotta move that. So this was the outside of my home. And so I built onto it for the studio off of that. So that's what this is right here. And for you, producer Landon, these are not photos. These are albums. Actual albums. So this, and I have a couple more going up. This is Mort Saul right here, who I think is spectacular. This is from the button-up mind of Bob Newhart, and this is Steve Martin. You see the ears right there, the bunny ears going out there in the white suit. And I've got a couple more. You can't even see. Wait, can you see them? Oh, you got down there. Like that's Red Fox Side Splitters Volume 2. But I don't think I can put that one up because there's a woman on the cover who's kind of naked and covering herself with a pillow. And I'm like, I don't think I could have that up there if I'm doing TV. So, well, it's not about getting caught. I can do anything I want. I'm just not. All right, coming back to the radio show. Glad you're here.
We cannot fear.
Yep. Oh, that's a hearing we haven't even gotten to yet. Oh, good Lord. The John Kennedy hearing, Senator Kennedy. What a show that was. I mean, that was just Crazy. I know everything's just playing just willy-nilly without me doing anything. Let's play something that's much more rational. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. How about the head of the NEA?
We cannot fear the future. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Say the words. Say the words. Say them. You are powerful. You are the NEA. Hold your head high. Hold your head high. NEA. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Hold your head high.
Yeah. I want her educating my kids. She's a freak. She's a lunatic. She was speaking in tongues. What is the real difference between this?
Hold your head high! Hold your head high! NEA! Oh!
What's the difference between that and Howard Dean going, roar? There is no difference. As a matter of fact, if you can auto-tune that, there, Landon, I'll send you this right here. If you can get the Howard Dean ARG and the NEA, Becky Pringle is her name, screaming like this. If we could create some kind of beat to it, if you can, you make that happen? Are you that capable? We're going to find out if you're that capable. Okay, so well, best of luck to all of us. Producer Landon is going to give this one a go. These people are broken. The left is broken. In my conversation with Michael Walsh, the author and screenwriter, really breaking this down about Western civilization and about what feminism has done and why the progressives are so intent on their destruction. Do they understand what this red-green alliance between communism and Islamists? How does this get us anywhere? How do they win from this? I've got those stories. That is all coming up. Now, the president is supposed to be hosting a White House Faith Office luncheon where he's supposed to be speaking. If he speaks, I will bring that to you. In the meanwhile, you heard the president talking about tariffs, and now we've got more tariffs coming. We have tariffs for the EU. We have tariffs for Mexico. We already have the Canadian tariffs at 35%. Does this change anything? Can't imagine it does. Can't imagine that we look at these tariffs and say, my gosh, now the markets are really going to fall. By the way, midday, the NASDAQ is up and the Dow is down 9 points. Don't get me wrong. It could close down 42 bajillion points. I don't know. What number was the, or 44,360 is where the Dow, I'm looking just, midday is where it was at. So, still at the highs. I'm telling you, it is the weirdest thing in the world that this economy and how things are moving. The Dow keeps going up. There's a whole conversation. Wall Street Journal did a poll, and it was all about what we see is cautious growth, or people being cautious about the future, but people are still spending retail and spending in restaurants. And at the same time, 1/3 of major U.S. housing markets now see falling home prices. Is that right? How does this all connect? How does this all come together? By the way, at what price points are we seeing this? Are you seeing this if people were getting jumbo loans? Is this for $500,000 kind of houses? Or is this in the $300,000 range? Because it seems to me there haven't been many houses in certain areas, depending on nicer areas, in the $300,000 range. And therefore, when you're jumping up in price, that's where the interest rates make things impossible. This economy is weird. Very weird. And these tariffs have done nothing to impact it. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. Ah. So going back to our going back to this studio look. I don't know. I don't know. I dig it. A couple little changes still to come, with some like that, like right there, right there, right there, right now. There. A little glare. It's from a light over there. But we needed depth. We're trying to figure out what was going on, what was going wrong, and the answer was that I had a short, like the wall was right here, and now the wall is another 10 feet back, and so we've got some layer and some depth and some lighting, and so it seems to work out. And this lighting, and so I had the videographer, I don't know if you know Brad, come out and I was like, fix this. And so every camera got recalibrated, and it's just been sensational in its working. So glad that it's there, glad that it's up. Let me answer a question for Ian, who sometimes writes nasty notes. Why can't your audience see what each other says and converse with each other? Well, they can. It's just a question of where you're coming in from. So if you do the chat via YouTube, everybody's chatting. If you do the chat via Facebook, you're only seeing Facebook people. If you're doing the chat via Twitter, I don't think you see anything. I don't think so. So I think it's just a question of where you're coming in from. So I don't have one place that's doing the chat, because people are coming in from these disparate places. And if you say to me, well, you need to have this, well, why don't you sponsor it? And then you can have it. See what I did there? How was that, Producer Landon? Was that good? Just making sure. What's very odd, first of all, what radio money? What? It's a banner and some comedy albums that I got from a used record store. What are you talking about? All right, the bottle of Willet back there, yeah, that's real money. That was real. Excuse me. What was I going to say? What was I just going to say? I was going to make a point. No. I wasn't talking about the records. The records are great, though. I love those. But yeah, this is weird. What I don't like is look, the microphone is in front of this, and I usually have the microphone on the other side, but the lights are coming from this side, so I'm getting a shadow, and I want to avoid as much shadow as I can. So that's it. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I should just stop it. 5 minutes, just stop being weird and be like, you know what, this looks good. It does look good. Yeah, but we were not getting the right effects, right looks, and I was. So thank you to Brad for fixing everything, and thank you for the comments. I'm glad you like everything. By the way, I've gone right now 30 minutes without Elmo insulting me for being Jewish. So thank you, Elmo. I'll get to that story as well. Keep it here. Smoking the aging room Sumatra in a Churchill. It's a 7 by 50 box press. It is. I think it's a very pleasing low cost stick. We're talking about under $10, which is a great way to do the show, because sometimes you're on a roll and you can't just have the cigar. You might have to set it down for a while. Something you don't necessarily want to do with a $30 cigar, but with $7, yes, I'm okay with that. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Yes, I smoke cigars during the show. Of course I do. If you watch the live stream, you can see that happen. As I stated earlier, I don't know Charlie Kirk. I have nothing against the man. I think I have met him once. I think. Where were we? Like, hey, pleasure to meet you. Like it was a while ago. I have spoken at one Turning Point event. It's about right. It was a chapter. It was a local college chapter here in Indiana, and certainly I could see that I don't fit into that world in that I'm not all Trump all the time. I'm policy driven, not personality driven. As a radio host, as a person, and that is true of me. Cult of personality doesn't move me. Thoughts, ideas, theories, they move me. That's where I kind of live and breathe. I will tell you that when I see a back and forth with Charlie Kirk and he's doing those things on college campuses, I'm like, good for you for being on college campuses. I look at that and I say, man, I cannot stand his debate style, because he'll hear a question and he'll say, well, let me ask you a question. And it drives me nuts. Just do it. You know how? Why are you asking them the question? It's a very, I've always taken it. I don't think he means it this way. And look, it works for him, and who the hell, do what works for you. I take it as a very left-leaning approach. And it's not that he's left-leaning. It's that the approach is always trying to change the subject, move the subject, morph the subject, the whole thing. I just drives me crazy. Drives me cuckoo McNuts. But what he's built and what they've created there is very impressive stuff, and it moves the needle. Respect it. That's why I feel bad for him, that he invites Tucker Carlson, right? As a crowd favorite, you're going to do it. And Tucker Carlson goes into the conspiracies. Ridiculous conspiracies. Unnecessary, foolhardy conspiracies. I don't know why. I don't know what made him go down this road. We're going to get into that. Right now, President Trump is speaking at the Faith Luncheon. Let's hear what it is he has to say.
Wonderful talk with Vladimir. I think we're finished. And then I'll turn on the television, or she'll say to me one time, wow, that's strange because they just bombed a nursing home. I said, what? So we don't like that. But I want to thank you all for being here, and welcome to the first ever White House Summit of Faith and Business Leaders. You're really some of the greatest business leaders in the country. When I looked at some of the names, I said, whoa, that's big stuff we have here today. In fact, before I was president, I would have been very intimidated, but now I'm president, so I don't have to be. But today we celebrate the core values that built this country: and freedom, hard work, risk-taking, and above all, trust in Almighty God. You're very much into God in this room, and that's very nice. You're business leaders who believe strongly. We have some business leaders that don't believe strongly, and somehow you and I don't like them as much. But I want to thank Pastor Paula White. She's been my friend for a long time. And John, for convening this incredible group. Her husband's one of the most talented musicians in the world. Stand up, John. Stand up. Okay? I stole a couple of his songs for the rallies, and he never sued me, so I was very happy. But we all come from the same place, right? So it was great, and we appreciate it, John. Thanks as well to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's doing a fantastic job.
I will let the president keep going there, and when he gets to some other stuff, I will. He's going to be doing thanks around the horn. I mean, it's very nice. But let me get back to Tucker Carlson and this conversation that he decides to have with the audience there at Turning Point USA.
Almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that. The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered. And I think it's entirely fair to ask them. And it's not adequate to say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas. They're not going to put up with that answer.
That is correct. Let's start there. And producer Landon, just in case, finger on the dump button, because I don't think he did, but you never know. Something can slide through. I believe that President Trump has got it wrong, and there are lots of guys on the political right, men and women, who got it wrong. Oh, Trump doesn't want us talking about Epstein. Why is anybody asking about the Epstein files? You told me you weren't going to release the files. I said, okay, it's dead. What am I supposed to do? But you keep talking about it. They're still talking about it. And one of the reasons it's still being discussed, and President Trump has to say, why are we having this fight? We have the best economy. We have the best people. We've got the best cabinet. Why are you ruining it with all this Epstein talk? Because, Mr. President, you don't get to decide what we talk about. It is a misread of the room. And there are a lot of people on the political right, fellow radio hosts, fellow pundits, fellow observers, bloggers, writers, who all think, hey, the president said we shouldn't be talking about this. We shouldn't be talking about this. He doesn't decide, because we do not work for Donald Trump. Donald Trump works for us. That is hard for some people. They get lost. They get broken on that point. They truly do. Their minds just crack when you remember how the hierarchy works. I voted for the guy 3 times. Why? Because it's what I wanted. Do the thing I want done. The other guy wasn't going to do anything I wanted done, so I didn't vote for that guy. I voted for this guy to do what I wanted done. It was always about me. Selfish, you bet. 10,000%. I voted in my best interest. And luckily, it was also in your best interest. And very possibly vice versa. But I didn't vote so I could be told what matters and what doesn't. Don't tell people this stuff doesn't matter. That's a mistake. And it was a mistake from Trump to double down and triple down. And Pam Bondi's great. And you're all being ridiculous. And other radio hosts, my gosh, you all sound like Bill Kristol. Remember, Bill Kristol said, you can't vote for Donald Trump. I'm conservatism. You got to do what I got to tell you to do, because I'm the one who decides conservatism. And people said, I'm sorry, what the hell are you talking about? We're voting for Trump. You can kiss off, loser, who's always lost a battle, who never once fights for us, who lets things get screwed up, who allows himself to be intimidated, who allows himself to be abused by these progressives. No. We're going to vote for somebody who fights. Thank you. And it broke him. It broke Bill Kristol. And now I see people on the political right basically going down the same road. Trump said, don't talk about this. So why are you talking about this? Because you are a grown man or a grown woman, and you're allowed to have your own mind, your own thoughts, and your own ideas. And by the way, we were told that there was a freaking file. We were told that she had the information. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, had the information on her desk. You handed out binders to the so-called influencers. What a bunch of freaks. You keep talking about influencers like that thing kind of matters. And then you didn't share with the rest of us. We're like, where's the beef? Or the commercial? Where's the real stuff? And then all of a sudden you said, oh yeah, kidding. Like you're Johnny in Airplane unplugging the lights from the runway. No. Some very, very high-level people were involved in child sex trafficking, and we want those sons of bitches in jail. And with all due respect, anybody who isn't willing to push that, well, I don't know what you're willing to push. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that those people somehow favor child sex trafficking. That is not my argument. I just find it impossible to believe that you can see where an issue was and be like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't get to decide that for people, even you, Mr. President. You don't get to decide that. But back to Tucker Carlson.
I don't care who gives that answer. That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is.
Prove it. Prove it. He worked for Mossad? Prove it. There's nothing wrong with saying, I have evidence that says. There's nothing wrong with asking, how did he get his dollars? I ask this about George Soros all the time. He's such a brilliant investor? Or do countries give him money so he can disrupt American elections? Which one do you think it is? Epstein was an agent of Mossad and therefore was working for the Israelis? I mean, you're basically one step to the left of space lasers. You're in the argument of Ilhan Omar. It's all about the Benjamins. What the hell are you talking? What the hell are you talking about? It is a laughable construct with no proof, which they admit no proof. So what is Tucker doing? I started by saying I felt bad for Charlie Kirk. I mean, I don't fault him for inviting him whatsoever, but I got to imagine that you looked at this speech, you were like, I do not know if that's the message I want. Because that's not a message. That is I'm the truth teller and I'll tell you what is, and you'll have to listen to me because I'm Tucker Carlson. I like Tucker. He's been very nice to me in the past. I don't know what this is. But nobody owes fealty to Tucker. This is conspiracy. Data or stop talking. This is Tony Katz today. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Following up on the Tucker conversation, you know, I make the following statement. Tucker Carlson interviews Vladimir Putin. You know what I say? Cool. Good on you. Go ahead. Of course. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. You go ahead and you do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I know people screamed and yelled about it. You do the interview. You tell me that Russia has better supermarkets than the United States, I'm going to tell you you're crazy. You're just nuts. Have you ever been to a Russian supermarket? Boo-boo. I have yet to get to Russia. I am betting all the money in my pocket against all the money in your pocket that our system is a better system. Let's not be crazy people. I don't have to be shot to know that the bullet is going to hurt. Nutty. That's a difference. If you tell me we shouldn't give foreign aid to Israel, okay. That's a policy conversation, and we can agree or disagree about policy. If you tell me Epstein is a secret agent, a dual agent, may I, for the record, say provide proof or stop? Because just to put that statement out there is nutty. And it's nutty. And what he's doing is nutty. It's not intellectual. He wants to push it as intellectual. I see that, but it's not. So that's where I'm at. Maybe it's considered a nuanced position. I just think it's just an honest position. This is you disagreement about something is far different than conspiracy insanity and this stuff with Epstein and Israel. Prove it or stop. Just stop. Why do I want the release of the Epstein files? So we know what's what. That's it. I just want to know what's what. And if there's no what, I'll move on. And if there's a what, I want to know how we're going to deal with those people on the what. I swear to God, it is amazing how being rational is considered so crazy. And being nutty is like, well, that makes perfect sense to me. And then you have the people at Turning Point who are applauding Tucker, and you're like, oh no. That is in and of itself an issue. All right, finger on the dump button there, producer Landon.
Everyone keeps asking me, Omar, why aren't you doing more videos? As a state senator with a second full-time job and a kid on the way, I just haven't been able to find the time. I've also been fighting for you, passing things like tuition-free college for working-class families, rideshare protections for our Uber and Lyft drivers, and the legalization of fentanyl testing strips.
Who in the world is this guy? Well, this is Omar Fateh, and he is a candidate for mayor of Minneapolis. And he's got a platform.
But this summer, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me because we deserve nice things in Minneapolis too. To make an affordable Minneapolis that works for everyone, we need a mayor that works as hard as usual. I'm ready to work hard too. 1, build a Minneapolis that working people can afford to call home. 2, protect our city from a hostile White House. And 3, diversify our city's public safety response.
Diversify our city's public safety response. I won't even get into the whole White House thing. He means not cooperating with ICE. But diversify our city's public safety response? You mean defund the police, right? They had to think of a new way to say it. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. It's always the same thing with these people. Always the same thing. They said defund the police. We took them at their word. We knew exactly what they meant. And then they said, oh, wait, we didn't mean defund the police. Why are you saying we said defund the police? No one said defund the police. Even though they said it, then they defunded the police, realized it didn't work, funded the police, and now they've got a new crop of commies, whether it's Zoran Mimandi. Wait, I'm not pronouncing his name right. All right, what's his last name? Mamdani. Why did I say that all wrong? My mistake. I went full Biden right there. I'm sorry. Zoran Mamdani there. You've got Omar Fateh in Minneapolis, and they're pushing the same exact subjects. They haven't changed. They changed the wording, not the story.
by increasing the minimum wage to $20 by 2028 and passing rent stabilization to stop price gouging and incentivizing new construction, we can protect workers.
We're going to force businesses to pay more that they can't afford, and we're going to engage rent control, which in the history of America has never, ever, 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 ever worked. It means less housing options. These commies don't stop. They don't stop. So we have to stop them. But how do you help Minneapolis when Minneapolis won't help itself? It's a great question. I don't have a good answer there. You just let it fail, and the people keep voting for failure. I mean, that's what they're doing in New York. This is Tony Katz today. Good Lord. Some things don't change. Commies don't change. I am on Newsmax at 5:25 this evening. We're not going anywhere. We're just taking the break. We're going to come back to it. So hang loose. We're in the radio break right now. So we take the break here. Smoke them if you got them. Just that easy to do. And we'll be back in just a moment. Keep it here, guys. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I got a weird email. Now I'm going to check this out. And I won't say the guy's name, although I guess I could, but I won't. Good like that. You went out of your way to block me on Instagram? What are you, like 5 years old? You could get both sides of the story before you run to the gram next time. It's a little unprofessional. I haven't even contacted you before. I have no idea who this is at all. How would I check to see if I blocked somebody on Instagram? Okay. It's always like one of these things. I have no idea. What happens if something's just a mistake? Like what if I meant it? I don't know. So how would I tell? Oh. All right, so I have to figure this out. I will have to figure that one out. But what a weird thing. How about this? Hey, I noticed I was blocked. Not sure why. This, that, the other, talk about a thing and then see where it goes. Why not go that way? People are strange. Very, very strange. Shout out the doors. Look at you. Anyway, that's just a little bit of my crazy day. Yours may be equally nutty. Anyway, we've got a show to get back to, including the auto pen. Let's get to it. The auto pen is a scandal. And it is clear that the Biden administration was absolutely signing things with Joe Biden's signature that Joe Biden had no idea of. None. Zero. Less than zero. It's hard to think that there's even a debate on the subject.
I mean, you're talking about the auto pen. Look, the auto pen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of the, see that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful. But I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee he knew nothing about what he was signing.
This,
I guarantee it,
is part of a New York Times story. And the New York Times story is that indeed Joe Biden was not fully aware of what people were doing with the auto pen. Did I say hello, Tony Katz? Tony Katz today? I should. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. The auto pen, as the president describes it, well, I mean, that's for when you're signing 1,000 letters. You're sending everybody a Christmas card. You use the auto pen. Boom. In this case, The story, as per the New York Times, is that the auto pen was utilized by the administration, the Biden administration, on these pardons and other things. As a matter of fact, in the conversation of pardons, it's not that Joe Biden actually knew who was getting pardoned. It's that they had created a kind of framework. And the framework said, these are the kind of people we're going to pardon. And then they made changes to that framework. And in making changes to the framework, that was not something that was consulted on with Joe Biden. They just went about signing. Joe Biden had absolutely no idea. None. No idea who he was pardoning. This from the article from the New York Times. Mr. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people. He and aides confirmed. Rather, after extensive discussion of different possible criteria, he signed off on the standards he wanted to be used to determine which convicts would qualify for a reduction in sentence. Now, that alone is frightening. If it's these things, no matter what other extenuating circumstances there are, if it's these things, gone. Now, if you told me that if you show me the cases where a prosecutor did not do their job with honor and lied, used deceit, didn't give a defendant, whether it's discovery or a million other things, absolutely. Right? Some procedural issue, failure by the government, absolutely. But a criteria for, and you're not looking at each individual situation? Odd. But here's where it gets more gross. Even after Mr. Biden made that decision, one former aide said the Bureau of Prisons kept providing additional information about specific inmates, resulting in small changes to the list. Rather than ask Mr. Biden to keep signing revised versions, his staff waited and then ran the final version through the auto pen, which they saw as a routine procedure. He didn't know. And for the record, that's not a pardon. I don't care if you're a liberal or a conservative or a Republican or a Democrat when we have this conversation. I don't care if you like Trump, you hate Trump. It means zero. You believe in the Constitution or you do not. This is not a pardon. This is a coup. Now, if you want to go out there and engage some idea of, well, actually, coup's not the right word, Tony. Good Lord, get bent. A group of people, a cabal, not elected, were running the White House, making decisions instead of the duly elected president of the United States, and were signing his name to official documents, changing quite literally people's lives. Never mind what it could be doing not only to those lives, but to the rest of us. What other legislation was signed because, well, we have an idea of what Joe wants, but we'll take care of the nuts and bolts. No evidence that Biden authorized any of the last-minute auto pen pardons. None. We're talking about Joe Biden. We're talking about Hunter Biden. We're talking about the brother. We're talking about the sister-in-law. None. Less than none. They changed documents. They changed what the concept of the pardon is without addressing it with the president. I want to know why people aren't in jail. I want to know how this isn't treason. I want to know how this isn't absolutely a direct threat to the power of the executive, to Article 2, to the presidency. Any rational person will tell you that it is, because any rational person will realize that the president didn't sign the pardon. It's not a pardon. Let's do this again for the people in cheap seats. If the president of the United States did not sign the pardon, it's not a pardon. It just isn't. Then you've got people like Senator Chris Van Hollen.
The New York Times spoke to former President Biden and published a story overnight on the use of auto pens for some of the commutations and pardons at the end of his term. And one of the things that was reported was that President Biden, while he approved of the commutations on classes of people, he didn't necessarily sign off on every individual one directly. How important do you feel that is, and where do you think this issue goes now?
John, I was just reading those reports this morning as well. My understanding is that, President Biden did look at these pardons, whether or not they came in classes of pardons, like these are people being pardoned because they had mandatory minimum sentences for certain drug offenses, and he didn't think that that was appropriate, that they'd served their time well, as opposed to each individual one. I will have to take a look at that entire
you
issue.
do that, Senator Van Hollen. You take a look at that. My God, don't cover for what is not coverable. It was a coup. This, at least for the last year of his presidency, full year, that guy didn't know what was happening. That guy was given ice cream and was in bed by 4:30 every night. And his despicable wife, Jill Biden, his despicable kid, Hunter Biden, his despicable brother, his despicable sister-in-law, and that despicable cabinet with that despicable press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, and that despicable aide, Neera Tanden, they allowed the cabal, the coup, to happen. So what do we do? What is our recourse here? How do we handle this situation? First, there is no acceptable answer that starts with, well, it's in the past. It's not in the past. It is having an effect on us every single day. Every pardon has an effect on all of us every single day, because those people who maybe should not have been pardoned are out in the world with the rest of us, and possibly are people who can do harm because there was a reason they were incarcerated to begin with. If they had a reason to be let out, and I'm not opposed to clemency, I'm not opposed to the pardon, and the pardon is a political tool. It is to me, the pardon is the way we show that for everything our Justice Department or our justice system has to offer, there's still a humanity that rides in us, and sometimes we just want to do the right thing. This happened. They were convicted. We take a look at that crime and we say to ourselves, wait a second. There's a story here. There's a circumstance here. It's enough. Sometimes we just say it's enough. I've always appreciated that humanity part of it. But it's political because there are people who have no reason to be pardoned, and they do. Mark Rich, under Bill Clinton, being a most prime example. It's a political tool. I'm not saying we should get rid of the pardon at all. I am saying that there could be people who we have no idea why they were pardoned and should never have been, and they exist in the world with us, as opposed to having to deal with the crime they have committed or are found guilty of committing. So it does have an effect on us. The idea that it happened and get over it, let's move on. Nah, the move on stuff is the stuff of lesser men, of cheap men in cheap suits with small minds. When something like this takes place, which, my gosh, I can't believe it did, but we all watched it happen, we have to correct it. We have to fix it. We have to lay claim to the idea that there is a standard, And the standard has been broken, not because I said so, but because Joe Biden said so. Joe Biden is the one who spoke to the New York Times. And it was an interesting comment from a producer, not a producer, a reporter, in that Joe Biden never once sat down for an interview with the New York Times when he was president. I did not know that. I was shocked to learn that. Joe Biden is calling Republicans liars. How dare you question these pardons and the auto pen? As you know, other presidents used it, including Trump. If Trump used it for a pardon, that ain't a pardon. They're liars. They know it. They know for certain. I mean, this is, look, what they've had a pretty good thing going here. The best thing they can do is try to change focus and focus on something else. And this is, I think that's what this is about. Is that what you think this is about, Joe Biden? I don't think you even know how you showed up for the interview you just did. If you're willing to let this stuff take a pass, my gosh, imagine what else the government will do to you. And if it's like, well, it's okay because I like that president. What happens when it's somebody you don't like? The standard has to be the standard. We have rules. This is not Vietnam. There are rules. And we shouldn't just take this laying down. We shouldn't accept this decision. We shouldn't accept that these pardons are valid, because they're not, because they admit it. And we should be pursuing every legal angle and opportunity available to undo these things. I'm not quite sure how that's done, because I was never quite sure of what would happen if there was a coup in the United States. It's exactly what it is. And we need to find the way. You can't let this stand. Can't let these people abuse the nation and then say, oh, well. Now, to quote Harvey Keitel in National Treasure, somebody's got to go to jail. I'm Tony Katz. Guys.
You knew nothing.
President Trump is still speaking.
So it's a very terrible. We're against an evil group of people, and they're very smart. Very smart. He's not, but they are. They took over the Oval Office. They actually took over the Oval Office. We can never let a thing like that happen again. So, Paul, I want to thank you very much, and I want to thank Jenny, and most importantly, I want to thank the people in this room. You really are incredible people, an inspiration to our country. And I know you don't know that. You don't think it because you're too busy working. But you are. You're a great inspiration to young people that want to be just like you when they grow up. And thank you very much for being here. And it's a great honor. And, Paul, I think you're going to say a prayer. I'll stay with you while you say your prayer, okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. You guys may be seated for just a moment. And he is our greatest champion of faith of any president that the United States of America has ever had. We are deeply...
We'll get back to that She's going to say a few words. I'm going to keep doing what it is that I do. So we've got a bunch more show to get to. I still haven't gotten to, there's a super weird COVID case going on out there. Holy cow. I cannot wait to share it with you. No, not somebody having COVID, a lawsuit around COVID. I will get that to you. Also, I had something else. Oh, this is going to annoy me. It's going to annoy me to no end. Oh, I'll find it. I will. Oh, Trump on Rosie O'Donnell. That's a good story too. Don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com and get everything that I'm doing. And of course, I'm matching today the Flederman Von Riest right there. Watches for every occasion, watches for your life. Use promo code CATS and get your discount. Go to Von Riest, RIESTE, VonRiest.com. Get your timepiece, people. I should have saved that for the radio show. I'll do it again. Don't worry. Love it. And I've got some cool announcements coming out, but man, this is the Cornflower Blue right here on the Hanoverian. Love this watch. Love this piece. Get yours, VonRiest.com. Use promo code CATS, KATZ. A court has thrown out the plea deal that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was going to get. Good. This deal was insane. We're talking about September 11th. Why in the world was this guy given a deal? And the deal was not known to anybody, and people who lost loved ones on 9/11 were like, what is this? Oh, well, just the way it is. Oops. So weird. Tony Katz today. This goes back to July. Biden administration that had entered pretrial agreements with Mohammed and 3 co-conspirators. After the backlash, the defense secretary at the time, Lloyd Austin, when he wasn't being AWOL, overrode the agreement. A military appeals court said, sorry, Lloyd Austin, nope. And the agreement goes back. He avoids the death penalty. Now enter the U.S. Court of Appeals. They threw out the plea agreement because they said that Lloyd Austin acted within his authority. And here's the quote. In light of the clear and indisputable errors committed by the military judge, which implicate issues of immense national importance, we conclude that issuance of the writs is appropriate under these circumstances. That was 2 of the 3 judges. Another judge said, our deference should be at its zenith when military courts follow persuasive military precedent in the construction of military rules. I am befuddled. So now we're on to 2 parts of this conversation. 1, why in the world did you create a deal with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? And number 2, if this is happening within military courts, why are other courts overruling that? So now you have this conversation about, well, where does the standard apply? How does that apply? And why would a military court rule that the defense secretary can't overrule something like this? I think this is going to be a very interesting legal battle here. And we'll get in some other legal battles. But I think one of the funnier things people do is they get into battles with Scott Jennings. And that guy has proven himself to be outrageously good. The calm, the focus, the getting angry without losing his head. And this was just a great tear apart right here. I mean, world class.
I grew up in, and I don't think it's ever coming back. I think it's gone. I think it's gone for good. They're in the ditch and they just don't know it yet.
How are we in the
Hope
ditch?
springs
We
eternal
won
for
the national popular vote last November. We won a crushing victory in the Electoral College. We won majorities in the House and the Senate. We just passed the big, beautiful bill. Peace is breaking out in the Middle East. Peace is breaking out on the African continent. Gas prices are lower than they've been in 4 years. Taxes are going to be low. Egg prices are down 69%. The southern border is secure. Jeff, these are things Republicans have believed in for a very long time.
Scott,
That is brutal. And I do not know why it is that Abby Phillip wants to interrupt like she has something to say. It is a complete and total dismantling. In the ditch, even this conversation about Epstein files, this doesn't change successes. And what he just listed there is a great example. There is an actual rewriting of how things are going to go in the Middle East. And that's not because of Democrats. You do have a secure border for the first time. It's not because of Democrats. I remember it was a couple months ago, and you heard the left screaming about buyer's remorse. Oh, Republicans can't believe they voted the way they did. Oh, they all regret it. No. And when there's some back and forth, doesn't change the overarching. Ditch? Far from it. That's wish casting. That's projection of where the left is. I'll explain. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. So I forgot I had that story. Hold on. So I had, over at TonyKatz.com, I had shared something about the economy, the economy is very weird to me. Very, very odd to me. But in the, what I wrote, I said, we're also going to discuss how Trump at the World Cup shows that Democrats can't connect with anybody. I'm going to get into this in full because it's a putting it all together was fun. It was pretty interesting how this goes. Let me find these stories right here. There's that. Got it. Some new polling out there. You've got questions. I have got answers. Somebody's asking me a question. I've got to answer the question. Sorry, can't do two things at once. Someone's asking me to be in an event, and I'm like, that's an event I'd like to speak at. So I got some things to say. So let's see. Let's see what comes of that. In the meantime, let me get to you guys over here. I certainly can't do four things at once, Jennifer. Not so much. Not so much. And it's the worst part about keeping the camera on is that, you know, how do you do it? I don't know how other guys do it. I don't know how they put all that together. Cody, when is the next event? Well, this is really interesting. I have a location. I just don't have a date. But I'm telling you, this one is going to come together faster than anything. So I'm trying to put it together for August. I have a very cool event to bring. There's also a possibility I will be in Israel in August, but it might be September. And the trip in Israel will hopefully afford me a lot of interview opportunities. So that's what I'm working on right now. Trying to get that done. So I don't have the date yet. I've got the event. I don't have the date. Working on that hard. So I hope to have something for you guys very, very soon. And then November, I just got a price back about a place which would be gigantic. And if I can bring in the right sponsorship, then I can do the event. I'd have to bring in the right sponsorship though. So that's gonna be a hard one. Very, very hard one. But we're gonna try. So there was a poll. News Nation with the story, new poll delivers troubling signs for Democrats. Well, who didn't know such a thing? You want a troubling sign? I'll give you a troubling sign. It involved the World Cup. Tony Katz today, good to be with you. 833-468-8669. 833 got Tony. We are live streaming. And you should check that out on YouTube, on X at Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. The live stream brought to you by Von Riest, Rieste. That is the watch assembled right here in Indiana. Thrilled to be their brand ambassador. Incredible timepieces that you are going to love for Sunday church or for every single day of the week. Von Riest, Rieste. Go to vonriest.com and get yours. Use promo code CATS. Get your discount. Incredible timepieces. I'm wearing one right now. Von Riest, Rieste. vonriest.com brings you the live stream. If you didn't see over the weekend, President Trump and Melania Trump were there in East Rutherford. I always refer to as the Meadowlands, Giant Stadium. And they're there for a Club World Cup match. It was Chelsea against, I know, is it Paris Saint-Germain or is it Paris Saint-Germain? I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't matter. Chelsea beat the living snot out of them. Beat them so bad. I think they were up 3-0 in the first 44 minutes, which is just brutalizing. So the end comes. Chelsea wins, and it's time to bring them the trophy. And it's Trump and it's the guy who heads up the World Cup. It wasn't the FIFA guy, was he? He might have been the FIFA guy. And they're bringing this very, very large trophy over to Chelsea. They walk it over together. They're in the middle of the pitch, the center of Giant Stadium, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. We got it covered." Done. Walks it over, hands it to Chelsea. Right? Players got it, surrounded by his teammates. The guy from FIFA is like, "All right, you got the trophy," and goes to walk off. Trump, nope. He's smiling. He's clapping. Everybody's smiling. And next thing you know, the team lifts the trophy in the air, and everybody goes just absolutely bananas crazy on Chelsea. So every photo of this win around the globe has Trump smiling right there in the middle of the team. It's the greatest photo bomb ever. Spectacular. If I'm Keir Starmer, I'd be angry. It was the FIFA president, by the way, who was with him, Gianni Infantino. They present the trophy. Trump stays, takes the photo. He doesn't walk away. He doesn't walk off. He is just smiling and looking up at the trophy and applauding. And the picture is spectacular. The Guardian wrote it as Trump booed but unbowed, as Club World Cup final as he crashes Chelsea's trophy lift. Yeah, Trump doesn't care. The boos are not as great as the picture. And I don't know how many boos there were. But there's Trump in the middle of it. It's unabashed. That connects with people. They hate Trump, which, okay. By the way, if it wasn't Trump and it was Vance, they'd hate Vance. If it wasn't Vance, it was Rubio, they'd hate Rubio. And if it wasn't Rubio, it was somebody else, they'd hate that person. If you remember in the first term, they said Trump was Hitler and Pence is worse. The worst thing that former Vice President Mike Pence could ever do is think that the left likes him or appreciates him. No. No part of that is true. What a mistake that is. But Trump connects with Americans all over the place because Trump's a pretty joyful, happy guy. It is the left that is angry. It is the left that is radical. It's the left that is violent. It is the left that shot at him. It is the left that shot at Steve Scalise. It is the left where what did you see this from? It was the Turning Point USA event in Tampa. Some guy so hates the political right, he got out of his car in traffic, crossed the street, and started screaming at people, then pushed a guy. A cop basically tackled him, pushed him and threw him to the ground. The push pushed him to the ground because he was a weak beta, and he got arrested. What are you doing? He was actually sticking himself out of his car window screaming at people. What? The anger is everywhere, and it isn't stopping. We see it on the college campuses with the bigotry. We see it constantly, and it's only getting worse. The violence is only getting worse. The only way out is through. This isn't going to stop yet. These people have the taste for blood, and they excuse it. Oh, you killed the healthcare CEO? Healthcare, they probably deserved it. That's what they did. Trump connects. Trump's having a good time. Trump relates. The left can't do it. The left can't do it. You're going to say that this photobombing was mugging for the camera and the whole thing. So what? So what? It's totally Trump to do this. And for people watching it, like that guy is just unreal. All right, that's what they're going to do, and they're going to move on with their day. The left has absolutely no one who can connect in this way. They don't have anybody. There is not a person you can mention on the political left who can connect at all. You see, if somebody on the left was there on the stage, they wouldn't be booed. Nobody would care. No one would care. This brings us to this poll. It was conducted between May and June by a Democratic super PAC. The super PAC is called Unite the Country. The party sees an erosion of white men, Hispanic men, and working class voters. In those three demographics, approval is less than 35%. Enthusiasm is falling apart, continues to fall apart. This is the reality of the perception of us as a party. And until we accept that, it's going to be hard to move forward, this according to a Democratic strategist. There's a perception out there outside of Democratic elites, and it's taken hold in not just the MAGA crowd, but people that should be with us. Who in the world would want to be with you? Why would anybody want to be with you? You guys are just angry. You're angry and you're bitter and you're sad and you're pathetic in absolutely everything you do. Everywhere you turn, you're the nastiest people. You're the ugliest people. No part of this has changed. But the story of stories is that voters perceive the Democratic Party as out of touch, woke, and weak. And you wonder why you lose men. This is what happens when you become totally feminized. Don't get angry with me, ladies. You're not the people I'm angry with. I'm talking, or you're not the people I'm discussing. I'm talking about liberal white women. Liberal white women are awful. It's always nasty. It's always almost a scolding. Constantly. This is all they do. I had a story. Where did I have it? Who sent it to me? That it was Sonny Hostin. I want going back to The View. Sonny Hostin was back in the screaming at you vein. Hold on, where was it? Here it is. Here it is. This speaking of the scolds, check this out right here.
CBP officials in McAllen, Texas. Several people were injured. The perpetrator was actually neutralized, but that's also something we don't want to see is an uptick in violence against law enforcement who are doing their jobs. So if you have a problem with this, talk to your lawmaker. That's the place to do it.
If they would do their jobs the way that I think they should be doing their jobs, which is unmasked without disappearing people from the streets, I don't think that the public would feel as endangered, because if someone approaches my loved one who's undocumented with a mask, how do I know that they're actual law enforcement? How do I know that they work for ICE? So that's one thing I'll say.
There's actually people who have impersonated ICE officers.
But do they show an ID? They don't show IDs. No. They're not dressed appropriately. They're not flagged, and they're masked. And so in my world, if you mask yourself because you don't want to be seen, because there will be a reckoning for some of the actions that actual law enforcement have done.
I'm assuming she's discussing violence. I actually shared this story on Friday. It was actually the same clip. ICE is doing the job that America wanted done, removing people who are here illegally. And what do the scolds do? What do the liberals do? Well, how dare you? First, they lie about disappearing people, which is not what's happening. And then reckoning, so there's going to be violence. Okay. You could be on the side of law and order. You can be on the side of not allowing illegal immigration, or you can be on the side of protecting illegals and saying that those people doing their job should get their comeuppance. Weak? Now you know why. Woke? Now you know why. Out of touch? Now you know why. Trump shows up to a soccer. Americans aren't even that into soccer, although it's growing like crazy. But they somehow claim that soccer is, who would watch soccer? I happen to like soccer. Neither here nor there. He shows up. Some people booed. Most people are like, that photo is unbelievable. There he is, celebrating. Look at you guys having fun. Congratulations. This is terrific. He's at UFC events. He goes to football games. Dear Lord, they're going to have UFC on the White House lawn. And Democrats don't even want illegal immigrants removed. And if you do, you are guilty and you should get hurt. This poll, I think, is accurate beyond a measure. And the Democrats have no idea how to fix it. Because one of the things it mentions is very true. The Democratic Party is a party for elites. The only reason it exists is because all of those people are on the cable news outlets and the news outlets and in the newspapers that still form opinion. That is it. The people, they want no part of this. I'm Tony Katz. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Yeah, we went a little longer with the stream today. So I'm glad that you like it. The new backdrop. I am on Newsmax at 5:15. That is the new time. So hopefully you'll join me there. I think I still got a couple things to change in here. Should be all right. I think maybe I should straighten out that banner a little bit more. But aside from that, I think it's pretty groovy. And this is more straight. Like I'm not straight enough, I don't think. But I think it's me because I think I'm kind of casual in the chair. I think that's my problem. Like I'm not like all newsy, like straightforward. I think that's it right there. What else? What else can I answer, guys? What else you got for me? What else can I do for you? I'm just checking emails. Weird stuff going on. Yes, you have a question, producer Landon. The question from Landon is that if, let's say, you're smoking some meat, right? You got you got pork, or you got chicken, you got a brisket, whatever it is. Does everything have to be wrapped in bacon? No. I mean, you can. I'm not going to tell you not to. Live your life. But no. Does not have to be wrapped in bacon. That said, bacon is delicious. Bacon, the only thing my people ever got wrong. That's not true. They got other things wrong. They got plenty wrong. Put that there, and then wait, where was there it is. There we go. This, by the way, is the Aging Room Sumatra. Churchill, nice, easy cigar. Perfect for the show. So you can get this, probably get on sale for like $7 a stick. It's a 7-inch cigar, so I think that's a rather good deal. Smoke's nice. I think it's a solid construction, a little softer than I would like, but very nice work. Superman, $122 million. So I guess the woke stuff didn't really affect too much. 217 million global is what it has taken in. That's with foreign ticket sales, of course, as I said, global. It's got an A- according to Cinema Score. I don't know why they decided that they were going to make this about, what's really, this is an immigrant story, and Clark Kent's an immigrant. He's an actual alien. And then it's not truth, justice in the American way. It's truth, justice in the human way. And I swear to you, I have no idea what the hell that means. I have no idea. No one knows what that means. It's just silly pablum. Speaking of what used to be silly pablum, Elmo is an anti-Semite. Elmo, oh dear Elmo. Somebody hacked the Elmo account. And in hacking the Elmo account, the Elmo account started with, I'm going to show it. I'm going to air it. You ready? No, I'm not. I can't. I don't know the live stream rules. Started with kill all the Jews. Elmo. You don't get invited to one bar mitzvah, and this is what you do. Then it was release the files, Donald Trump, child blanker, meaning the Epstein files. And then it was, Elmo says, all Jews should die. Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he is in the Epstein files. And then, of course, it's about kill all the Jews. A couple things here. First, of course, this was a hack. Second thing is that, man, I've been aware of anti-Semitism my whole life, and you probably have been as well. Maybe you haven't experienced it before. You do, it stinks, you move on with your day. You don't think the whole country is bigoted. But this is just the level of full-on brazen here. The level of just desirous to say anything you want. None of this leads to a good place. And it is imperative that this is not just about Judaism. This is the attack on Christianity. Michael Walsh, the author, the screenwriter, you find his work at the-pipeline.org. He joins me next. We're going to break this down. We're going to go deep. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz Today. Guys, I appreciate you, and I appreciate that you like the studio. Thank you. Thank you so very much. We're getting there. We're getting not bad. Not bad. I just don't know if that light should be white right there, but it's got the, it looks like just like a break in the wall if it's not, I guess. And I don't know. We'll figure out what to do with that light. Maybe we'll put that light somewhere else and more illuminate that whole background. But I did kind of the shadow. Glad you guys are here. I appreciate you being part of the show. We're back tomorrow, so be sure to be around for that. And don't forget to go to TonyKatz.com and be a part of that and subscribe to that and do all the cool things, get the show sheet and everything we've got going on there. Appreciate you guys tremendously. And I will catch you. We've got another hour of radio. You can catch that at WIBC.com. But the stream for now is done. It happens sometimes. I'll catch you tomorrow, guys. Take care.